I think we can all agree the most anticipated car to come to South Africa this year is the G20 BMW 3 Series. The 3 Series has had a long history in South Africa, and the badge just seems to have gotten better and better with each generation that's come out. The one we have here today is the 330i, not in the M Sport package, but in one lower, the Sport line. So enthusiasts, you're still going to be a bit disappointed. The 330i remains a 2-litre, not a 3-litre straight 6. So what we have here is a twin-scroll 4-cylinder 2-litre engine, pushing 190 kilowatts and 400 Newton meters. Interestingly, it's the same amount of torque that you get from the 320d. Okay, so the 330i that we have here at base price is 649,900 at the time of shooting this. But I've got an option list here just to see the model that we have, how much everything adds up to. So on top of that base amount, we've got the Sportline package, which is 23,600. And inside there's a couple of trims that we can go through as well. We've got acoustic glazing for the front side windows, which I believe this has as well. That's 2,200, not so bad. This car also has the laser light package. Always nice to have, but that option is 15,000. Also, this has the individual leather dash. If you want that on it, you got to pay 17,600. It's an interior lighting package on this car. It's got a couple of colors. Not the best I've seen in cars. I think Mercedes one is actually better, dare I say. But if you want ambient lighting on this car, that's another 5,300. But obviously, I mean, this is especially a thing with German cars today. If you're going to spec a car, spec it very carefully, because if you're not careful with the options list, it'll have a very, very massive price above the one that you paid for. Other than that, I just want to talk about the interior in general. Okay, so options aside, I really quite like this interior. I think it's very neat. I think the lines are very straight. I think it plays well into the segment. It's not too gaudy like some people find the Mercedes interiors, and they haven't changed it too much from previous designs. So previous owners of 3 Series, they'll feel very comfortable when they step up into this newer model. I like the buttons. They feel very tactile, nice to press, but not too stiff or hard. And I also like that they're still focusing on the button layout. The touchscreen can be very distracting for newer owners and even those more experienced. They've still gone with the traditional rotary switch. But with that being said, let's get behind the wheel and see how it drives on the road. So after so many years in the business, you should always expect the 3 Series to be a phenomenal car, and with this, the G20, it's no exception. It rides very well. It still carries a lot of its sporty and dynamic DNA that it's had throughout previous generations, and it's just a great progression for the model line going into this generation. We've tested the G20 already with the M Sport suspension in the 320d, and while its dynamic capabilities are very impressive, the car can turn a lot sharper with that. It feels more fun to drive, it's much more engaging. That package with that suspension absolutely ruins the ride. You'd be much better off with the standard suspension. It's a lot more comfortable, it's still very dynamic, and it just suits the car a lot more, especially with the engine. As far as styling is concerned, I actually prefer the Sport line. A lot of people are going to disagree with me there. They think that the M Sport line will look better. Also, the big question is whether I prefer this over the previous 3 Series. If you ask me now, I would probably say the previous one, but I'm rather going to reserve my comment because I haven't driven any 6-cylinder derivatives of the G20 yet. But yeah, with the G20, it's ticked all of the boxes, and it's ticked them very well, which is something that's becoming a bit of a rarity these days. This car has got great refinement, it's very dynamic, it's got good perceived quality with the interior. The engine performs very well, and it can be a very refined car on day-to-day driving. It's not very punchy, it's not on its edge. The engine settles itself very well, and it works well, amazingly well, with this 8-speed transmission. It's a car that's going to keep you happy and entertained for a very long time, and I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind when you're developing a car, is keeping a smile on the driver's face. And I think the G20 3 Series does that fantastically. It's pretty much a given that BMW was going to knock the G20 3 Series out of the park, but it's really nice to acknowledge it. Between this and the 320d, I think the 330i is a personal favorite. I am definitely looking forward to driving the 6-cylinder derivatives, which arrive in South Africa a little later this year.